When I came back from the service in '57, Xavier asked me, would I serve as Dean of Men? And if you remember my earlier story, I got the opportunity to come to Xavier by a work scholarship. And I figured, well, I owe something. And so I will spend a couple of years and work at Xavier and its transition and the like. Little did I know, of course, almost 40 years later, still here. I guess my dad, whom I described to you earlier, probably never forgave me for not practicing law. If I had gone back to my hometown and practiced law, I'd have been a millionaire many times. Even had stayed here, I'd have been a millionaire many times. But that, I never looked back. That was not necessarily what was my interest. And my practice in general was a little civil, but I did some criminal practice. And I can tell you, it's the most depressing thing you ever want to do criminal practice. Most of the people, and I was appointed to represent people who had no lawyers, and they knew more about the law than I did. They had been arrested. They knew everything. I'd go down and say, okay, I'm your lawyer. I've read the jacket. I know what you have allegedly done, and would you tell me, what you did? And their answer would be, no. You're going too far. I want you to go back up. I want you to talk to the district attorney who's handling the case, and I'll offer a plea. If I get this, if I get that, if I get that. I said, well, I don't know why a district attorney would give you that. They said, well, there's no sense in talking. We're not going to talk anymore unless you go back up. Well, I'd go back and I'd say to the district attorney, well, I'm representing so-and-so, but they want this kind of a sentence. They don't want this on their record, blah, blah, blah. And the district attorney would say, hey, no way. I'm not going to the judge to offer that plea. It's called copping a plea. I'd go back downstairs and I'd say, nope, they're not going to accept this. They said, well, we're not guilty. And now let's talk. And I'd have to remind them, look, I'm your lawyer. You got to tell me the truth, because I'm not going upstairs and argue this case, and in the middle of the case I'm going to have to argue, oh, surprise, I didn't know this or that. And so it was disconcerting to sit in Tulane and Broad when you waited for your trial to come and see the people who came through there. And I decided, well, maybe I ought to spend a little bit more time in education, because I'm only one person, but if I went into education, I might be able to produce more people. And as history will look, we have more, certainly Xavier lawyers now, and other lawyers practicing and doing that job. So I made that conscious decision, and so I entered Xavier as a Dean of Men. And in those times, a Dean of Men in my era, I was responsible for counseling all freshman men who came in. I mean, I was mother, father, grandfather, uncle, everything. I meet guys now. There's one in particular who became a famous coach, both in college and high school. And whenever I meet him with his wife, he comes and he hugs me and he says, Dean, how you doing? And his wife says to him, he's not the dean, he's the president of the university. And I say, well, but I'll always be dean to him, because he was in my office more than anybody else. But it was an exciting time, because